Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mascara Fighters vlog. Today, I have a special guest, prop master from Power Rangers, Mark Richardson. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be appropriate to start with a mask on stuff. Thanks for being here.
Sure.
How you doing?
Doing okay. The writer's strike and looks like it might be over. We might be going back to work, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I saw that there's like a tentative agreement floating around.
That's
So,
a good sign because I didn't think we're going to be at this position until like after Christmas. So it's a good sign. It means we'll probably be back to work in January.
yeah. Have you got some projects lined up or stuff you were waiting on? Or?
I was on The Old Man with Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow, Jessica Harper when it got shut down. I'm sure they want to go right back to it. I hope. I'd love to go back to that right now. It's a great show, and if like the first season's out on Netflix, but it's really good.
Yeah. For the fans that are watching, everybody online, why don't you tell them a little bit about some of your past work and stuff?
Well, I've done over 45. I've been in the industry for over 45 years, and I started off with like Trauma doing. When I was working for Trauma, though, I was doing everything. I was writing, directing, acting for Nukem High 2 and 3, and I did some other weird Trauma things. And then I worked for Roger Corman, did some other low budget stuff, and then I was doing a lot of really low budget movies. And I was doing weapons for a show called PM Entertainment, and I was called Yuda Aku from Power Rangers called me up and he wanted to use me, and I didn't know why, but I still don't know why. But I was doing all night jobs doing weapons, and finally he called me and goes, "Mark, listen, you can either come in here and start work tomorrow, or I'm going to start looking for somebody else." So I came in, started working, and they gave me some videotapes to watch. And I watched the videotapes and I was blown away because I'm such a big Godzilla fan that I was like, oh my God, America's just going to snap when they see this. And they did. It was funny because everybody thought we were going to last about a week. And I knew it was going to take off. I knew it was going to be a hit. But I did that. And then after that, I did Fastlane, and then went back and started doing union horror films, House of the Dead, Dead and Deader, Room 6, like a bunch of stuff. And then I started teaming up with a guy named Scott Buchwald because I was doing like House of the Dead 2, and he was doing The Prestige, and I was making like, $200 a night, and he was making $800 a night. So I joined up with him, and I started doing Sarah Connor Chronicles, and
Good show.
yeah, that was during the strike too. That kind of destroyed the show. But Race to Witch Mountain, the remake, did a bunch of ABC Family things with him, Make It or Break It, Jane by Design, Stitchers, Switched at Birth. And then, in between these, I was doing all my independent horror films. But my last couple of years, I was doing, everything. Rob Zombie got a hold of me and had me do weapons on Devil's Rejects, and I was the on-set prop guy for Halloween. And we did Piranha 3D, and if you go on IMDb, you'll see that all the stuff I've done. But my last couple of shows were Lucifer, Dead to Me, some weird kidnapping show for Netflix, the WC show, that Western show. I did that, did a pilot for J.J. Abrams, and then went back to The Old Man. We've been working on that for a while, but I've done it.
Yeah, that's pretty expensive. Congrats. That's a lot of work for you. Let me ask you, you worked on Trauma. Did you work on Toxic Avengers, Toxic Crusader? What were you working on?
Classic Nukem 2 and 3, but Toxie was in both of those. And Yeah, Toxie made cameos in this. And for the San Diego Comic Con for I think 1992, I was Toxie for the Comic Con. They actually had me,
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
they actually had me be one of the guests. I was the guest on panels, and I didn't know what, I'm Toxic Avenger, and I didn't know what to say. And they had me there with, some of the greatest comic book writers and creators in the world. And I'm sitting there talking just nonsense, being Toxic. The only thing that I remember that saved my ass
Yeah.
was some guy spilt a drink in the front row, and I had my mop, so I was able to mop up, and people loved that. I remember
Hey,
people like, but most of the
sometimes
stuff,
things work out. Yeah.
I was just saying nonsense things like, things about Richard Nixon and Eric Estrada and just weird stuff.
Yeah.
But it was trauma, so
Yeah.
did.
They get
Yeah,
they
so
get
I
a
have
lot of leeway there.
have my name patch. It's Toxic Avenger for Comic Con. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. I actually got one of the first times I was working at Comic Con. I was promoting Mascara fighters, and I was handing out some posters and flyers and banners and things like that. And I got to meet up with Lloyd Kaufman, and he was very nice to me. He followed me on.
Nut job. He's a very nice guy, but a nut job.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know him from a passing acquaintance thing. But he was very nice to me, and he took the poster with my Mascara fighters and my stuff, and we took pictures and stuff, and it was very cool of me. And,
Yeah.
you didn't
Yeah,
have to, you
I was
remember that.
I was associate producer for him, and I wrote a lot of stuff for him and stuff. Trauma is great for people that want to see. I mean, those were the first films that I had done that made it to the big screen, and they actually showed those in limited edition engagements, but they actually showed those movies. So it was pretty spectacular.
Let me ask you, because kind of moving a little further, you worked on Power Rangers. Did you ever work on this? The helmets? Did you ever have to recreate the props for the helmets and
I
stuff
don't
like
know. That was done by effects artist, Soda Effects, and I can't remember the guy that was the last guy to do the helmets, and then Diligent Dwarfs did it for the movie. I can't think of the guy that made the helmets, but no, I didn't make them. I had nothing to do with the helmets.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks I do because I was the prop master, and it's more
Yeah.
costumes.
Did they have you focus more on just the morphers? Because you said you've made the original morpher, but did you go on the other seasons just making more morphers?
Toys. I did all that. Yeah, the morphers, anything, like the hand
The
props.
changer,
Yeah,
like that.
we used the toys the entire time, and the Japanese use the toys too, which I think was the greatest thing in the world. When you go to a toy store or you go online to buy toys and you get Batman's belt, you'd always get this crappy little belt. When you bought a morpher from Power Rangers, you got the morpher. I have no idea why they didn't make the gun just like the ones in Japan, then why they made them black and red. I always thought that was odd. And they should have just kept Ranger on them, because that's what we used on the show. We used the actual guns from the Japanese TV show.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll see people sell the stickers for the Zoo Rangers to put with the original, with the new buckles. So
yeah, people ask me for that stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm the I'll sell. I get in trouble because I make stuff for people like that, but I don't understand. If you're a Power Ranger fan, get the stickers from me, because I still sell the original stickers for the morphers. Everybody's
you worked on the show, right? So
yeah, I worked on it for the first 10
it's
years.
not like you're just some guy off the street.
Yeah, it's just, if you're a fan, get it off the guy. I mean, the people that make my stickers for the morphers are the same people that made them in '93. It's the same company.
That's
So
a fun fact.
you're buying a piece of history. And I'm not bad mouthing nobody for making that stuff. They go crazy, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm just, when you get them from me, you get it from the guy, so I just don't understand why people just, I always see people going, oh, I got the belt buckle, from, some other guy. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, mine's from the original mold, but whatever. And I don't, it's not like I'm gonna be pushing this stuff as soon as I go back to work. But now that I'm not working, I'm like, hey, join Horror Icona and buy stuff off me.
There you go. There you go. That's a good plug. That's a good little way to stop. Why don't you give them the exact info of how they can, reach you and stuff like that for
Well,
the
Horror Icona, HORRORICANA. Just join it, and you can even just PM me right there and say, hey, Mark, I want a dragon dagger or a Trini's dagger. Sure, I got them. I made, I have them from the mold, from the original molds. So if you want them, you come get them. I have the coins. I have a lot of stuff that.
Well, you have the time to do them too. That's
right now I do.
Yeah, because
although
pick up,
I say that, but 2.5 weeks ago, I got a phone call from Dangling Carrot in Santa Clarita, and the guy owns a multi-million-dollar company, and he has them he's got 4 shops, 2 in Atlanta, 1 in Canada, and 1 here. I know he has 3. I'm sorry, I'm not sure about the 4th one, but they're multi-million-dollar shops, and they're dead in the water because they work for the film industry. They do graphics and 3D printing and stuff like that. And the guy woke up in the middle of the night going, I'm going to do a haunted maze, and I'm just going to hire people from the industry. And he called me. I was the first phone call. He woke me up and goes, dude, I want to do a haunted maze. I'm like, who's this? And he told me, oh, hey, what's up, Scott? And he goes, let's get a crew together. And he goes, all industry people, and let's make this maze. And we're making the maze. The maze is going to be amazing. I just did an interview with Channel 4 News. It's going to air tomorrow. I don't know when this thing airs, but look for it on Channel 4, probably somewhere around 7-11. But they're going to interview me talking about this maze, and it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be so cool. I'm very excited about it. I'm trying to think of if I have any other Power Ranger friends on it, but I can't. Everybody on it works in every big films, but I don't think I have any other Power Ranger people on it right now.
Did you ever happen to make the Zord fights? Did you ever have to build a set it's a one-shot set, but
Oh, Japanese. So we didn't do any of that. That was all Japanese footage. I shouldn't say that. It seems like we did make a small set for something, but most of that was Japanese footage. And the Zord fights were almost all Japanese footage.
I mean, I figured it's a one-time project because one city looks like another city. Oh, the city has a building that's brown. The other city has a building that's brown, and you just switch out the names and things like that.
They had the footage, so why? Unless it was like a new monster or something, we had the footage, so they just used it.
Yeah.
I mean, originally Power Rangers was only supposed to be 8 minutes of American footage. It was all supposed to be Japanese footage, but the characters took off so well that people wanted to see more and more of the American actors, and it got more, more and more. Like when I started it, I was like, where am I gonna? How am I gonna get these props? Or are we gonna have these custom made? Because the fact that I made a bunch of stuff on Power Rangers is just because we didn't have any money. I say this to everybody. Everybody goes, I want to be a prop master too, and make devices to say the word. Prop masters never do that. We hire people to do that. The production designer gives us artwork, and the director and the showrunner gives us the work, and we hire professionals to make it. Power Rangers was so painfully low budget that they said, no, you got to make it, and that's the reason why a lot of my devices and gadgets were really cheap, because I threw it together, and I didn't have a long time to do it. So I sometimes had 2 days or 1 day. So I had to, throw it together. And that's the reason why a lot of the devices and gadgets are ridiculous. It's the reason why Billy has sparklers in his, his grills, spray painted Billy blue with a slinky and a flashlight on it. But, when you were 6 years old, you dug it, It's just now, these guys are 35 years old watching it and going, hey, wait a second, I know that's a shower radio, with a piece of GI Joe tank. I remember that, Yeah, it was because I was just making it up as I could go. It was that's what I had to do because it was so cheap. I loved it. It was fun, but it was so cheap.
Yeah. I remember actually when I was a kid, I used to see some of this stuff. And when you're a kid and you're watching Power Rangers, you have the suspension of disbelief. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
everything is technically real and it's live action. So it's a really big jarring thing from like compared to Ninja Turtles, because Ninja Turtles is a cartoon, you're watching a cartoon. In Power Rangers, there's an actual robot, there's a guy in a robot suit and stuff. There was actually one scene that really did break it for me though. It was a Power Ranger episode with Billy, and he had sort of a blue mirror. Like they were fighting a mirror monster, and there was like a mirror, but it had like the shield right there. It was a shield mirror, and it would open up and it would just reflect the thing. And I was like, that's the cheapest thing I've ever seen. And I thought that when I was a kid, I was like, this just broke it for me.
I think that was Japanese footage. I don't even think that was ours. There were monsters, the Japanese footage. When people watch it, they're blown away. I mean, there was one monster that was a hooker, and when it got big and powerful, her boobs would grow. There was a monster that made kids take guns and have them attached to their heads. The Japanese stuff was insane. I was watching stuff go, wow, are we going to use this? And they're like, no, it's got to be cut out. We could never use head kicks. There are certain things that
they use blood too. If they get hit too much, they spew out blood. You can't have blood on Power Rangers.
We couldn't have any blood.
Yeah. I've actually seen the one that's Alien Rangers, but the Sentai version.
Yeah.
And the one that they only used 10 episodes for. And I was like, you got a lot of footage for 10 episodes, considering how dark that show actually is. Because that's like aliens and monsters and demons and all of this stuff. And like you said, it's a lot of kids that, standards and practices wouldn't let it go on the air either. That's another thing you had to think back then, because now it's a completely different game.
The one I really like, I think it was Space. Maybe it was Steve Wang directed, and they went on like this alien ship that was all, like there was creatures, and it was really creepy and dark.
I remember that was the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Lost Galaxy, that's right.
They did an alien type episode. Yeah.
Steve Wang, he's the one that did Dark Guyver, but he's a really good special effects maker. Steve Wang is the guy that made Predator. Originally, they had another guy make Predator, and they didn't like it. Steve Wang was the guy that designed Predator.
Yeah. I actually, since we're talking about that episode, we're talking Lost Galaxy. There was always the big rumor. You could actually, say that if it's true or it's false, that you guys used a lot of Starship Troopers.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's obvious. The helmet and the vest was totally Starship Troopers.
Because in the beginning, you could pretty much tell, but it's also, like it's a helmet and a vest. So how distinctive can you be?
And their rifles, their laser blasters was a water jug and a Nerf gun glued together. That's a water jug from the 99-cent store with a Nerf gun, but it worked. Like I said, when our target audience was 6 and 7 years old. You had just finished watching Teletubbies, and now you're going on the Power Rangers. I just didn't expect people not to grow out of it. The fact that I'm still talking to adults about these shows, it's like, wow.
Yeah, you're talking to a series creator now about the series you worked on, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So did you get a chance, you said you got a chance to look at some of the brand and stuff and some of the, props, I guess, if you will, that I made and things. Can you give me a little bit of your opinion, your feedback? Because I always like to hear from an expert in the field.
I'll tell you my feedback. And I had a friend that had this idea for all the monsters. This is years ago. And this guy worked on Power Rangers even. But he did all these really wonderful drawings like you've done, and he was pushing everything he did. And it was these little girls that their fathers were universal monsters. And I thought it was brilliant. But I told him, and I'm going to tell you, what are you doing? You don't have a license. You don't have a copy written. You're showing everybody this stuff. You need an agent, and that's what you need to do. Well, because if there's anything you have that somebody likes that does this, they're just gonna take it.
Yeah, that's actually the first thing I did before I opened my mouth.
Okay,
The
so
first
do
thing I
you
did
have,
was get my copyright, get
but
a
you have an agent?
website. No,
Then, yeah,
at the
without
moment,
an
nope.
agent, without an agent, you're not gonna get anything. And the, what my friends was pushing, just like this, and he had the rights to him, to his little characters, but the rights to his little characters just was to their names. Whoever did Monster High just stole this stuff. He did this probably 15 years before Monster High, and he was trying to sell this stuff. He was out, pushing it. What you got to do, are you, is it public? Are you making comic books with this? What are you doing with it?
Okay, so the brand, I'm a toy maker as well, so I've made the toys. I have one here. See? I make the figures. I'm making articulated action figures that I'm doing with factory and stuff. I'm working on the second and third wave for that. As far as animated shorts, I like to go sort of the anthology route as one-offs. So I'll make an animated short based off the copyright and everything I wrote, right? If you like it, that's great. And if you didn't, you watch another one. It's not a timeline. It's not linear. So you can like one and not like the other. And I've gone on to do about 17 seasons actually for Mascara Fighters.
Holy cow, I had no idea you did that.
Yeah, I have 100 because I break them up into sets of 10.
So
So
you
I've
don't
done,
need anybody. You're doing it yourself.
yeah,
But
and
what do
that's the mural in the
obviously,
background right there.
yeah, but and they're really entertaining, they're fun,
I
but
like to think so. I mean, it's
but
entertainment, so it's taste, you know what I mean? So
yeah. So I mean, it's a different world today, you could have your own YouTube channel, you could have your own, you just do it yourself and just live in your world. And if something comes of it, make t-shirts, sell the t-shirts, make personal, yeah, yeah, all that stuff. That's, I mean, you're doing it. That's, as far
thank you.
as, only because it's without an agent,
Yeah.
that's all you can do. Without an agent, because you can't take this to Hasbro and go, hey, check out my stuff. They won't look at it. They legally can't look at it. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Because if they come out with something similar that had nothing to do with you, it's the whole, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, Addams Family Monsters thing, where these shows came out exactly at the same time and they're pretty similar. So people could go, they copied that, or whatever. That, if you gave that to Hasbro, they'll send it back to you because they can't look at it. They legally can't look at your stuff, because if they have a show that they're putting thousands upon thousands of dollars that's coming out and it's exactly like your show, and you sent it to them, you could sue them for copyright. You could say, that was my idea, you stole my idea. So you personally cannot take that to Hasbro. You could do what you're doing right now, and I say that's what you should be happy with. Live your life, doing that stuff. But if you want to take it to another level, get a TV show and all that stuff, you have to get an agent. They can't look at it without an agent. And I don't know what to tell you on that, on how to get an agent for you. So, but it's something you could look into and see if there is an agent for what you do,
Yeah, actually, I have a little story on that. Because I've been doing the Comic-Con circuit and things like that. And, that's where I've been kind of spreading out. Well, at least before the pandemic and things like that, then, everything kind of restructured. But I met one of these series writers, if you will, and he told me he wanted for me to invest X amount in him writing my series Bible. And I told him I already wrote the series Bible and I already copyrighted. And then he said, okay, give me your phone number and we'll get in contact. I give him my phone number. We chat one more time, and then I never hear back from him again. And a year later, somebody told me that the reason he didn't keep following up is because I know how to put hashtags on my stuff and I know how to put @. So it was a Google Words thing. He just Googled worded Mascara fighters and what's connected to it. So he kind of couldn't roll me. So he was like, you know what, there's a dead end. So it happens with the agent stuff. And this was a series creator. He was like, oh, I've written this, and that show, and this, and that show. And I'm like, yeah, but all right. Me too, literally. I did this thing 3 times. I'm a 3-time series creator. And today, I actually just finished writing the series finale for my 4th series, because I'm going to launch a 4th series in 2025. It's pretty exciting to keep growing and things like that, because also it's one of those things that I can be the beginning and the end of everything, because I am independent at the moment. You know what I mean? When a studio comes in, it's a completely different thing. I mean, you might have had a million ideas for Power Rangers or Trauma or whatever it is, but when the executive comes in, they're the ones that are cutting the check. So they're the ones that say, hey, look, the good guy's winning, the bad guy's losing, and they get the girl at the end of the day. And let's sell the next toy. You know what I mean?
But what's your ultimate goal here? Just to keep going with this stuff, or is your ultimate goal to get like a TV series or something?
Well, my ultimate goal is just to keep expanding, like, because I like to be persistent in, if I can't grow this way, I'll at least grow that way. You know what I mean? So I started growing, like with the animated shorts. 17 seasons, 170, animated shorts. That's a lot of animated shorts. So I decided to kind of curve that, and since things didn't happen for A or B reason, I decided to start making my own DVDs. And about a year and a half ago, I was able to actually do a little DVD tour, because here in Florida there's still some video stores and stuff like that, and I got some actual my DVD into DVD stores in 2021. And this was during the height of the pandemic, which was crazy. So because nobody was going out, but they still wanted to get physical media, and they were like, oh yeah, okay, then let's see your disc. And I just did actually a little launch for one of the discs for my 3rd brand, which is Kelly Collider. And it's like I said, I like to do it even when they say no. You know what I mean? Because toy making, you're a prop maker, what toy making is. It's a giant pain, and it's like, I mean, you make it for people, so I make my stuff for my characters and things like that, but it's still a very extensive process. Yeah, the articulated figures themselves, the ones that are going to be able to move and do all of this other stuff, oh man, just the back and forth. And oh, I gotta send this, and then the factory samples, and then the pegs don't fit in, which is goes back to your thing with making the morpher. The morpher, you bought it right off the shelf, and you just pop in the coin. When you're making new figures, you have to from scratch. It's a completely from scratch thing. And those could be some of the challenges, but they're also fun challenges, because I can actually say, hey, look, I created Mascara Fighters, I created Diamond Series, Kelly Collider, and my new show in 2025. So it's also about people loving it. Honestly, that's really a big positive for me, because if I'm at a convention and I have like my masks and my DVDs and my toys and whatever, and some kid comes by and he's like, hey, look, what's this? Oh, I want the toy, or I want the mask. And hey, they like my stuff, and that's the basics of creating and stuff like that. I really enjoy that type of stuff, and that's kind of where I'm going.
Well, that's good. It's good that you're cool with that. That's a great place to be. And you're your own boss. And if you enjoy doing it, then just keep doing it, man. And something may come of it. You never know. You just keep pushing, keep it pushing and push. I know so many people that out of nowhere became, famous overnight, because they've worked on their stuff forever, and they got it so dialed in. And they were at the right place at the right time when they were looking, when Fox was looking for something like that. But I'm telling you, you should look into getting an agent that could actually push your stuff legitimately, because no offense, there's a bunch of people doing the same thing you're doing. The only thing is they don't have an agent, and they're not going to do anything until they get an agent.
Yeah, and it's a very competitive world now. There's not 3 channels, there's 3 million channels. There's 3 million
Which
shows.
is
There's
good
three
though.
million
It's good
streamers.
that, it's good that you could do what you're doing. You could go on YouTube and have, you could go on, access television and you just start, you could do what you're doing. The thing is, you're not making any money doing it. That's what the problem is. You want to make that money. And with an agent, they legitimize you, what you're doing, and you could actually work with the big boys instead of, the cosplayers and people pretending that they're, celebrities, because we have so many people out there that act like they're somebody and they're not. They're nobody. I have so many, they lie about their IMDb. They lie that, that there's the guy that I can't think of his name, but he said he was he said he was a Ninja Turtle. He said he was a Red Ranger, and I call him out on it.
I know who
And
you're talking about, but I'm not gonna say who's,
okay,
because I've done conventions with the guy. I know who you're talking about too.
but I call him out, and all of a sudden I'm the guy that everybody's mad at. But I'm like, he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it because he was an extra on Power Rangers, and he thought, you know what, I could act like I'm just going to act like I'm a stunt guy. I'm just going to act like I was the Red Ranger, and it worked. He was he's signing autographs. He's going around doing that stuff. And what he does in the film industry is he lays layout boards so camera equipment can come through. He's nobody, but they flew him to Europe, they fly him around, and he makes money selling auto. He actually had them build a squat babu costume, and he's a very likable guy, but he's not the guy that did that. He's a fake, and there's so much of that in these Comic Cons and stuff. And these Comic Cons allow it to happen because they need to have a large amount of guests, and they're trying to impress people. And it's just very frustrating.
Well, yeah, you got kind of understand you need a foot traffic too.
But that all being said, you're legit. You're creative.
Thank you.
You have you're working hard and you're making this happen, and hopefully something will take off. Sooner or later something's got to happen.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually do it, and I do it in 2 languages because I do it in English and I do it in Spanish. So I've done.
I would totally go to Telemundo and say, hey, there's nothing out there like this on Telemundo, and really push for it. And, I would totally push for that.
Like you said, it's the agent wall. You're totally right about the agent thing, because I can't say I'm this, and that. The agent has to say I'm this, and that.
Can you look? I'm sorry, if you were wanting to be an actor, I could help you with that. But I'm just not hip to this whole thing.
Well, I've done a little bit of production assistant work and like stand-in stuff, like stand here, you can be the left shoulder of whatever until the real actor comes in. That's fine. But those are part of the breaks of the business too. You know what I mean? You're not always the king, if you will. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're the pauper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I really think your show would be a hit on Telemundo because they don't have nothing like.
Thank you.
I really think so.
Yeah. One of the things I try to do is in creating my series, and this I'll let you go because I appreciate your time, but my 3 series are 3 completely different audiences, because Mascara Fighters is general audience, then Diamond series, that's teen, it's more anime-ish based, and then my 3rd series, which is Kelly Collider, is science fiction. So I try to write differently while keeping my style across them, and which I'm also doing into the 4th series, which I'm pretty excited to keep. I wrote the series finale today, so I'm pretty on a high for that. So I know how it ends now. You know what I mean?
Well, I like I say, you're a very talented man. You've been doing this for a long time. The stuff looks great, and you're getting better and better and better at this stuff, and you've accomplished so much. It's not like, I see people with their portfolio and they have like 1 or 2 drawings. I mean, this is your portfolio. You have an entire, you know, this whole entourage of hardcore good look work. And you know, you can go anywhere with these characters. You could do a live action, you could be a live action person that has fantasy characters like this that he sees, you know, and they're like cartoons jumping around him, you know, and he's the only one that sees them. I mean, there's so much you could do with these type of characters, and what, you know, where you're coming from. You could have a lot, you know, you're very creative, and I think sooner or later, I hope, you know, it pays off for you, because, you know, you've worked very hard at it and it's what you love. So it's
Thank you.
great that you're doing something you love.
Thank you. Uh, like I said at the beginning, and I'll close with this. Thank you for being on my show. It's such a cool thing to have, you know, somebody of your caliber, you know, talking some Mascara fighters and talking, you know, some toy stuff. And